This is absolutely Essendon, the Bombers YouTube fan channel that's seen plenty of bad seasons, but somehow the off season has found a way to top them. The losses might have stopped, but the chaos has not. Captain Zach Merritt has been talking trade with our nemesis, Sam Mitchell. If you wanted to break Bomber hearts, that's the playbook. Draper's defected north to the Lions. Ridley's eyeing the eggs at two. It's less a playing list and more a clearance sale. And just when you think the headlines couldn't get worse, President Dave Barham allegedly drops profanity on an 85-year-old club legend, the bloke who kicked 7 goals in the 65 grand final. That's not culture. That's crisis management on fire. So buckle in, because if the season was a dumpster fire, this is the after party. Let's check it out. Alrighty. Thank you for tuning in. It has been a little while, but we are back, and I can report that we should be. I think we get our studio back this week, so that's good news for us and probably for you as well. So you don't have to tolerate these Zoom calls. But we thought it was time. There has been thousands of minutes of content created around our club in this off season over the last 3 weeks. Lots of analysis. The digital space is chockers full of discourse. Lots of electrons have been terribly inconvenienced by this state of affairs. So I don't know, DT, is there anything more you think that we can add?
Look, I think there's a whole lot we can add to this discourse. We've just been chomping at the bit to get back on air and talk about all the goings on down at the hangar, but we thought we'd just hold back a little whilst everyone else is rushing out to get their videos out. We thought we'd take a few weeks just to digest the news and perhaps come at it with a slightly clearer state of mind than the original emotive response. Uh, I don't
Right.
know about you, but I am sick to the gut with what's
So,
been going
so
on.
what I'm hearing is we couldn't get our shit together.
Correct.
Okay,
So
but we're
yes,
here.
that's it. But look, I think it's worth the wait, and hopefully we can add an angle to the story that perhaps hasn't been covered. Maybe we can give it a twist, shed some of our own views on it, and maybe that might resonate with some of our fantastic audience.
Yes, let's hope. We certainly have got a bit to cover, and so let's keep it snappy, DT. Let's charge through. Shall we start maybe with some of the new appointments? I mean, off season hasn't
Sure.
started yet, and that's going to be interesting.
Right.
Let's face it. Don't know whether this year we will get our peak delusion. This might be the one year where we don't. However, on the training front, we've got some new recruits, right?
We sure do. So I think this is old news now, but worth repeating, and particularly relevant given the uh, Jordan Ridley situation that we have a new strength and conditioning team on board. Obviously, Matthew Innes has come across from the Eagles, but adding to that is David Regan,
Yeah.
who is joining the club as an assistant to Innes, and his CV is fantastic. He's had NFL, MLB, NBA background as well as footy. So I think he looks like an absolute mongrel door bouncer from the Chevron. He's
He
perfect for
does.
what
If
we
the
need.
boys go
He's
out on
gonna he's
any,
gonna beat a little fear into our boys when they get out on the track pre-season. So welcome to those two gentlemen. You've got a huge job. But on the Jordan Ridley issue, I think Jordan Ridley will stay, and we'll come to that. But I think he will stay on the back of these appointments. That there's been a lot of discussion with him already about the program,
yeah.
and from what I understand, he's somewhat more comfortable with the direction the club's taking on that
Oh
strength
wow.
and
Okay.
conditioning front.
All right. Well that's good news. That's a big positive. We think, but let's be positive about it. Um, what about there's been some signings as well in the midst of all this. There has you've got Blackiston, Pryor. Who's the other one?
And McMahon.
McMahon, he
Yeah,
stays on.
they're in therapy since being advised that they're going to have to stay another year at the club. And
In the fetal
thoughts and
position?
prayers, thoughts and
Yes,
prayers go out to the boys.
right. So they didn't take the news well of their contract extension, is that what you're saying?
It was texted to them, from what I understand, which is sort of de rigueur down at Essendon these days, right?
It, it seems to be how they communicate now. Just, yeah,
Yeah. No,
lob in a
don't want to get
text.
in anyone's face, do we?
No, no, we can come to that. I have been a bit bemused by that, but anyway. But yeah, I mean, Blackiston, I've been impressed with. I'm a little bit excited by that. I think that's a good call. I know
Yeah.
McMahon, you were sitting on the fence, but I like
Yeah.
it. I'll say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I'm really
Pryor's been a workhorse.
Look, he played every game. I mean, that alone qualifies him for another season, right? Because
Yeah.
we may not have any players on the field with our injuries.
Yes.
So he certainly, I think given his durability, is worth persisting with for another year. But I'm really thrilled for both McMahon and Blackiston. Each have come from different backgrounds to get to the AFL, and I thought Blackiston showed a bit in the few games he played, and as
He
did
did.
McMahon. So, are they going to be elite A graders? Maybe not, but I think they're handy players to have as we go through this transition period.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well surmised. I would agree with that. Um, so let's get into the guts of it, shall we? We're going to assume that everyone watching this is well across what has occurred, so we're not going to go through too many of the ins and outs. But I'll kick off by saying that I think most people would agree that as an Essendon supporter, we're always waiting or hoping for that or looking for that moment where the worst is behind us and we can look forward to some better times. It's not linear, there's going to be obstacles along the way, but that's what we've been looking for given what's transpired over the last 20, 22 years. Fair to say, we hit a new dip.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is we've had plenty of practice as Essendon supporters to deal with it. And, a lot of the opposition fans are coming out of the woodwork again and, you know,
Bathing in
categorizing the
it.
club as a basket
Bathing.
case. But, it
Yes.
doesn't. We're our skin is thick. And we've dealt with this and worse. So, yeah, bring it on. But, yeah, I mean, look, what I love is the fact that during the finals, there's only one team people are talking about, and
So
it's the team that hasn't won a final for 20 odd years. So,
I know, but that is also kind of tragic. So if we were to sort of just open up and just talk about, I want to just quickly mention the media and all this because obviously it has been an absolute feeding frenzy, right? Um,
yeah,
and do you think if you had to sort of calibrate it, has the media built it up or more than what it is, or in instance, it is a nuclear event and they are just reporting it. So how much responsibility do you reckon do you give them? Because everyone's chiming in.
sure.
Everybody.
Hey, look, they're being fed the news, right? I mean, this is all coming from different sources within the club, within Zach Merritt's camp. This isn't just something that they pick up out of the waste paper basket in the office. This is stuff that they're being told. So
Yeah.
is the media driving it? Oh, I don't think they are. I think they're responding to it gleefully because it's absolutely fantastic clickbait. It's not even bait. It's the real thing. You couldn't make this stuff up. I mean, this is extraordinary when you think about when Zach Merritt, when the news was leaked that he'd visited Stan Mitchell's house for a nice pot roast. Within 24 hours, Mason Redman and Nick Martin were releasing statements on Twitter and elsewhere, you know, uh, revealing their heartfelt disappointment. I mean, this is the stuff that you never hear about. Football clubs don't let this happen. You don't openly criticize your teammates on social media. And there you have it. And then the club unbelievably reposts those comments on their own website as if to endorse it. So,
Yeah,
this
but hang on. Or was that at the club's behest?
could have been, maybe Barham or someone said, look, Martin, Redmond, you're the two senior guys. Get out there and let it be known we're not happy. And if that's the case, that's extraordinary. And that's why the media is jumping all over it because
Yeah.
this sort of stuff, I saw some newspaper article categorizing it as civil war.
Yeah.
And, it's almost been like that. And I think to have this kind of public, it's like that when you watch a couple on the bus shouting and hitting each other, you can't look away from that, can you?
No,
And
no,
that's
you
what it is.
cannot. No, it's we've been car crash viewing for quite some time, but we definitely hit a new level. Um, okay, so then they've so who should we cover next? Do you want to
Well, let's go through this in order. I think there's three players that we want to talk about in regards to the Exodus. Okay.
yes.
So we were waiting on with bated breath for Sam Draper, that glorious Hall of Fame potential ruckman, to make up his mind about where he wanted to play footy next year. And unbelievably, we may well get a first round draft pick compensation for that clown. He he played for Essendon for 9 seasons, did play more than 70 games out of 180 odd, never finished higher than 12th, I think, in the best and fairest.
Mm.
And he's going to land us potentially, if the AFL plays ball, a first round draft pick. It would be like pick 7 or something, pick 6 or 7. That is his greatest contribution to the Essendon Football Club. Thank you for your service.
Easy, hang on, easy does it. But the fact is, he still wanted to leave, and he didn't move back home. He's moved up north. That's
Well,
the
that's the
point.
thing. Yeah. So good. I mean, you've been consistent in your view about the value of a ruckman in the modern game, and are we going to miss Sam Draper? I honestly don't think we will. I'm starting to come around to your way of thinking,
Are you?
and he's great for entertainment value, but
Mm.
yeah, he's not going to win us anything. That guy. And look, Brisbane clearly feel they're in the window. They are. They're playing in a grand final in a few days. Uh, Draper could be just the player they need to kind of keep that momentum going for future seasons. But for us, I don't think it makes
Sure.
any difference
But
whatsoever.
won't you be annoyed if he moves up to the Lions and they have the Joe Danaher effect on him, where he plays consistently, always gets on the ground, plays to the club game plan, um, always measured in his choices on the field? Won't that annoy you?
No, because I don't think there's any precedent. People talk about Joe Danaher. We got Joe Danaher fit. That's what people always seem to forget is that Danaher was playing for Essendon that last sort of 6 or 7 games of that season before, he packed up his bags and went up to Brisbane. And prior to his groin injury, he barely missed a game in about 8 years. So I think this is a myth about Essendon and its
Yeah.
ability to manage injuries.
Yeah.
It
He
might be
didn't
that,
he want to leave 12 months beforehand though? There was talk of a deal. Maybe was it to the
yeah, he did.
Swans
He wanted to
even?
go to
So
the
come on.
Swans. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. But
He was
look,
looking.
I don't know. If Draper can be a 23 game a season player at Brisbane, something he was never able to do with us, is that because of Brisbane or is it just bad luck for us? His Achilles injury this year was just bad luck. He did an ACL, that was bad luck. I don't think there's anything that he's had at Essendon which is as a result of our training regime. Now, I can't say the same for Jordan Ridley
Yeah.
or maybe Darcy Parish, where there's a constant and recurring soft tissue problem.
Yeah.
But with Draper, no, I think his injuries were more accidents that happened.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. So let's get on to Ridley. Now we'd already sort of mentioned that maybe, given his sort of less than 50% game rate, that maybe we should look at trading him. But we're still, it's like, you know, you've decided to end a relationship, but you still don't like it when you get dumped, right? So he's decided that he wanted to look around as well, right? Is that been confirmed, or was that a beat up?
I think it's been confirmed. I have no doubt about that.
Yeah.
I'm actually, and I'm sure you're the same. I'm actually okay holding on to Ridley. He's got, I think, 3 more years or even 4 years to go on his contract.
Yeah.
Tough Vicky, son, suck it up. And look, let's be fair on him. He has had a lot of problems with injuries. This new fitness team that they've brought in, if they can get Ridley fit and firing, and for that matter, Parish as well, then they're both players at their best are, top flight footballers. So
Yes.
fingers crossed. I think Ridley will stay. I think sort of Andy McGrath came out and said as much. And let's hope we can get him fit and firing because he is a great footballer. We've always spoken very highly of him.
Yes. Yes. King Jordan of Ridley.
Correct.
Okay. So now let's get to the big one.
Yeah, so Merritt, look, this could have been a very, very different story had Zach and his manager sat down with the club and just said, look, here's the way we're feeling. Zach could have told the club, I want to try to go to a club where success is around the corner. I'm not sure I can be here for 4 or 5 years whilst we're rebuilding. And then they could have stage managed that, right? And done it in a manner that would have, you know, looked a lot more dignified than the way it's played out. Before the notorious meeting with Sam Mitchell, the dinner meeting that Merritt had,
Yeah, with the
the
wives, the
mood, the
spouses.
mood, right, the mood was let Zach go. He deserves it. We would not begrudge him that opportunity. But the fact that he then went and had a lunch, a dinner, whatever the hell it was with this guy, the one we hate so much, it felt like a betrayal, and it was very very poorly managed on his part or his manager's part. I don't know whose
So
decision it was, but
that's
it was
right.
a
So
terrible decision.
So if you read about his manager Tom Petroro, he's sort of often referred to in often I know they're fluff articles in the Herald Sun, but as the Jerry Maguire of the AFL, right? And we know apparently that he has a relationship with Craig Votso. So given all that, it would suggest that he wasn't driving the leaks, that he wasn't driving how this was being done, that it's more on that's Zach driving it. Like, do you think that's the case, or is that being harsh on Zach?
Look, I don't know. I mean, as I said, whoever's driving it made a really poor judgment error. It was only going to look bad, having this sort of clandestine meeting with Sam Mitchell. And if they had just managed the whole thing a little better, then Merritt could have retained his reputation. They could have even come to an agreement to say, well, look, if there isn't a good offer for you, we're going to keep you at the club. That's fair enough. There could have been so many different ways of skinning this cat for everyone's benefit, but it was just handled extremely poorly. And I think Merritt was, from what I know, and I do know from people who are close to him, he was absolutely devastated by the fallout. Well, you make your bed, you lie in it, Zach. And I think he's been a fantastic servant to the Essendon Football Club. But unfortunately, it's a really sad thing. It's almost Shakespearean, isn't it? That his reputation will forever be tarnished because of what's happened.
It is. It's Shakespearean. It's biblical. He's been referred to as Judas. He's been referred to as a mercenary. I I don't know. I mean, if I agree, he probably would have had that advice that you just said. Let's say he chose not to do that for whatever reason. Isn't that the question here? Isn't that the issue? That why he would go nuclear like that rather than do the managed approach? Why, like, doesn't that suggest a disconnect?
I just don't understand what would be, the benefit of that. We've seen what's happened. Did he want to make it so difficult as to force the issue? Because I think the club would have been reasonable had he done it in a different way. But now
Maybe,
he's
maybe he didn't get that vibe. Maybe he didn't get
perhaps.
that.
But
So
I
he just
think
thought he had to burn the bridges behind him and just make it untenable.
so. There's no way back.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Right, and I think that's now the case, despite the fact that the club has publicly stated that they're not trading him under any circumstances. They've also offered him a substantial increase on his wages to stay at Essendon.
Yes.
So, for the life of me, this is the question I now want to ask is, okay, Zach's played his card. What
Yeah.
the hell are we doing? What's the football club's response to that? And is it the right response? Why would they be not going, okay, look, this we're at a junction here between the old and the new eras. This is the opportunity we have to fast track a rebuild that we've already started. Why on earth would we be doing everything in our power to not exploit that opportunity with Zach Merritt, our most valuable trade currency, and get the best return, the best hand we can get back for him? But we're offering him money to stay. What do you think?
Yeah, look, I agree. Like, I mean, we'll come back to the admin and the president soon, but you really want the club to be ruthless in this situation, and to show some good posture, um, which I suppose they did by saying he's not going anywhere. But I don't know, after this sort of incident, then just throwing more money at him, yeah, I don't like the look of that. It's
Yeah.
just it just shows a lack of posture. It's as simple as that.
I mean, if
And
that's a
so,
negotiating technique, I think it's a poor one, is because, what if he was to say, yeah, okay, I'll take the money?
mm, yeah,
I
yeah,
think surely the club must be looking at this in a very clinical, harsh, light of day way and going, Zach Merritt is worth at least two first round draft picks. If that's what we can get on top of our already pretty decent hand of draft picks,
mm, yeah,
we could have an era defining off season here. Yeah,
yeah.
we lose a great footballer, but we may be able to build a team for the next 10 years. Why would you not be looking at it in that light?
Yeah, yeah, and the cliche, no one player's bigger than the club, all that
Yeah,
sort of stuff. But it's kind of true, and you do have to live by that.
yeah,
And if he has made these choices and executed it this way for a reason, then yeah, it's
yeah.
yeah, I don't know why they were throwing money and opening up the checkbook. And at the same time, if they were the ones behind, like that story, that silly story about AFLW and how he apparently was doing some footy goal kicking drills, which was basically four kicks, I think,
Yeah.
at the same time that they were supposed to be training. Like, I don't know where that came from,
So
but
that story, by the way, sorry to interrupt you, but Caroline Wilson wrote about that again in The Age and made this sort of strange statement for a written piece where she's put correct in
yes,
brackets
yeah,
around that allegation. Well,
yeah.
I'm here to tell you today that it is not correct. And
Oh,
I have had
shock
that
horror.
straight from the horse's mouth.
Yeah,
There was no one person more devastated by that news report than Zach Merritt himself.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
absolute hogwash. Uh,
Yeah.
And I can say, believe it or not, if you don't, that's up to you guys out there. But he was one of the really passionate believers in the AFLW, still is, and would do nothing to in any way disrespect that program or the players
Right.
within that
So,
program.
yeah, I'm not surprised at all. So let's go back to our media and their involvement. I mean, there's a classic case, right, of just whipping things up into a frenzy, um, where it's just unnecessary. Like, yeah, I'm not surprised he's devastated by that.
Yeah,
Um, so we've okay. So that's the state of play. We've heard that he's had a meeting with Andrew Welsh, who's
yeah.
who's vice president, right? Not the
Well,
president.
I don't know what his title is, but
He's,
he's on the board, isn't he?
yes, he is.
Is he vice president?
Well, I thought he was, but I may be.
Right.
I'll stand corrected if need be. But you've got, I think Craig Votso. I think shot him a text. How you going, Zach?
Another text.
Just checking in
Yeah.
on him. Brad Scott, because
So
they're
they
close.
reached out to Merritt via text message.
Yes, Brad Scott as well. Yeah,
That's like breaking up with your girlfriend.
I mean, is a phone call? Are we just out of touch? Is a phone call just too in your face these days? Is it too? Is it heart surgery invasive? Is that what we're talking? Look, I don't understand that. Are we?
But
We
if
must be
that's
out of
true,
touch.
if that's true, that the club texted to him as a part of the kind of, I guess the
Olive
olive
branch
branch,
reaching out.
right?
Yeah,
I mean, I would be absolutely stunned if that's the truth. And then again, it's another nail in the coffin of incompetency that is the Essendon Football Club. But yeah, surely you'd be organising to meet maybe at Sam Mitchell's house. I don't know. He might have a nice patio out the back for meetings. But you'd be meeting in person, right? And having a coffee or at least getting face to face with the guy.
I would have,
That's remarkable.
I would have thought, I would have thought that, it's that would have been the absolute minimum. I don't know. I mean, again, people just might call us boomers, but I'm just shocked by that. And and the clue is, I think, that he's gone and met with Andrew Welsh, not with either of those two guys, is it not?
Yeah. Well, look, that probably brings us to the next part of our kind of
Take.
analysis of this. I don't even know what it is, but look, Barham, I don't think has come out well in this whole thing.
Oh
Honestly,
no.
I think he's really been. I mean, Zach's going to have to deal with his demons, but Zach Merritt could be holding a premiership cup up in 12 months' time, so he might be the grinner at the end. But Barham, I think Barham's really revealed himself to be completely chaotic in his approach to the management of this football club.
Yeah.
And if Andrew Welsh is the guy that's meeting with Merritt to try and sort of smooth things over, because let's be honest, Merritt's going to have to turn up at the Brownlow and at the Crichton Medal this year, which he
Yeah.
will.
Yeah.
And I could confirm that he most definitely will be turning up at the Crichton Medal, unless something dramatic was to happen. Um, then that says a lot about where Welsh is going with the footy club. And might I say, that's not a bad thing, because I think now is the time for some very significant changes to be made, not to destable the club, but to make it ready, rock solid for the next phase.
Yeah. you know, Look, we've been sort of alluding to it, but you look at all the good clubs, thinking about Brisbane last night, since Lee Matthews has been there, first as the coach, then, being on the board as a director. What a good ship they're running there. Um,
Yeah.
it does start from the top. But this incident with Dave Barham, are you across it with him using profanity with
Yeah.
a gentleman named Ted Fordham who played in the
Teddy
65
Fordham.
grand final?
Look,
It's just like I'm just so shocked. I'm shocked that he used profanity with any 85-year-old, let alone
yeah, right.
someone who kicked 7 goals in a winning grand final for the club. Rang Barham rang him up specifically to take him to task because Ted spoke at a reunion dinner, I think it was, at Windy Hill,
Yeah.
celebrating the 65 grand final. In his speech, mentioned a couple of things about maybe Brad Scott's coaching style, and Barham thought he would take him to task on it,
Right.
and
Yeah.
not just kind of question him. He unleashed like Mussolini from the balcony.
Yeah, he did. And I think it was in reference to the Richmond Essendon game, the not the Dreamtime game, but the second one where we lost inexplicably to Richmond in a terrible game of football. I think we only kicked one goal after quarter time or something like that.
Yeah.
And but we're still in the game. If
Yes.
you, it was
Yeah.
such a bad game.
Yeah. It was
Everyone
a few
remembers
minutes
that
to
game.
go. There was 2 goals in it, and we were going
Yeah.
sideways, backwards, every which
Right.
way but forward. And I think he
Yeah.
questioned that.
Just building the suspense for the sort of grand finale ending. And yeah, Fordham
Ah,
quite rightly, as an 85-year-old, knows more about the game apparently or seemingly than our own coaches do. And he was quick to comment on how Brad Scott just sat in the box playing around with his
yeah.
computer.
No, he said, yeah,
Uh,
when I see the
you know,
coaches around Collingwood, Hawthorn, and Brisbane, and then I see Scott sitting up in the box playing with his computer, I think there's not much there.
yeah.
Um,
Well, look, I'm not going to pass judgment on that. I mean, that's Brad Scott's absolute right to coach whichever way he chooses to
and it does
coach.
work for his brother very well.
Right, yeah, exactly. I mean, there's some players, some coaches like to sit up in the box. But look, here's the thing. Barham, I believe he rang up and apologised, but he
Yeah, it
hasn't
took it took
denied.
five it took 5 or 6 days to do that until people
Did
got
he
in his ear.
text it?
He did. I'm not surprised, but I'll just say
But
just one more quote from Ted because I
yeah,
love I love Ted. The abuse and the swearing. He was telling me how he could earn $2,000 a day. This is Barham out in private
right.
enterprise instead of being the effing president of an effing football club. And I didn't have a chance to say to him, well, why don't you go and do it? Love him.
Yeah, good
Go
point.
Ted. It
Was
is.
that
It
before
is.
or after Barham told him to go and follow another club? I mean, it's schoolyard childishness from Barham. If he actually said to an Essendon legend, "Why don't you go and follow another club?" Shame on you.
Yeah.
Shame on you. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and character assassinate David Barham. I think he's done some decent things for our footy club. He was the circuit breaker that we needed, but I think his usefulness has now expired, and we need a football-minded, young, dynamic management structure. And I think Andrew Welsh is the guy that can take us through to the next phase. Now, how successful that will be, time will tell. But Barham's not going to be that guy. That's my view.
Yeah, okay. I would agree with that. It just, I mean, that to me just says it speaks to character. I don't need to see any more. Okay.
No.
I know it might seem like we're just very reactive, snap judgment, but sorry, it just does to me.
And can I also add that it unshackles Brad Scott from his number one supporter? And I think that's a good thing in a football club, that the coach should not feel that he's got a veil of protection around him all the
Yeah,
time
yeah,
because he's Dave Barham's man.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
Scott needs to be put on notice. You've
yeah,
got 2 seasons. You now have a
yes,
huge task to build this side. You need to become a better coach. We're going to give you all the resources that you could possibly hope for, and
yeah,
they've already started that. So credit to the club for doing that.
yeah,
And Andrew Welsh is the man who's going to take a fully impartial and pragmatic view of the coaching performance.
yeah.
David Barham's compromised on that basis.
Yeah, and I mean, it just talks about, we always talk about the sense of urgency, right? And, they just, keep going to the fact that it takes time. Rome wasn't built in a day. I'll go back to Paul Brash's comments. He used to love to run with the term, there'll be changes, but it's incremental. But, I think we've had enough, and, we want to see a level of urgency around it, especially when there are examples in the AFL today of how quickly things can turn around.
Yeah,
Um,
look, just on Paul Little, can I tell you, if that man even thinks about making a comeback at the football club, we burn the place down. Move on, buddy.
Sorry, I said Paul Brasher, or did I say Paul Little?
Well, Brasher,
Yeah,
Little, Brasher.
yeah,
You look at the lot, it's a rogues gallery of, men that look like they're better suited to being the crypt keepers,
yes, they do.
than running a football
They,
club.
they
Can we
hold the
get some
keys.
youth?
Yes,
Can we get some
please,
youth involved?
please.
All
I
right.
would, I would
But
agree.
yeah, Paul Little,
Some,
Brasher, a lot of them just go
yes,
away. We don't need any of those people anymore.
yeah, I would agree with that. Okay, let me ask this question. Maybe as we start to wrap this up, is there a world in which Zach Merritt stays on in the club?
Absolutely no. There is no world in which Zach Merritt can stay at Essendon.
Okay, all right,
None.
hang on. Okay, what if, okay, he stays on, but he's not captain anymore. We make someone else the captain. He comes out at the Crichton Medal and makes the the mother of all speeches, Churchill-esque, as an orator, wins back the hearts and minds, gives his point of view. Can he come back?
No.
Oh shit! Well, open the door a little bit for it.
Well, no, he can't, and he shouldn't.
Okay, all right.
Uh,
I just thought I'd ask.
that would be a sign of absolute weakness from both parties. You've made your mind up. He wants to go and play for Hawthorn. We move on. You said before that no one player is bigger than the club. We
He,
move on, and we move on without him, and we move on with an incredibly positive outlook for the future. And as much as Zach's been an incredible player, he's been the best footballer we've had in the last 20 years.
mm,
Perhaps Joe Watson aside, but I think Zach's even been better. I'll always fondly remember him as a player for Essendon, but his time's done.
I will
And
fondly
as a
remember
football
him.
club,
Yeah,
we've got to make we've got to make sensible decisions.
yeah, yeah,
Zach Merritt could land 2 first round draft picks. If
yeah.
let's look at this scenario very quickly.
I
We've
know, but
already got
but
picked.
sorry, before you say that, what's going to annoy me is that Hawthorn really need him. And like he's just going to slide in really well, eh?
Good
Passes from
luck.
D'Ambrosio. Just going to annoy me.
Yep, and and that's the part of this world, this football world we live in. We've got to think. Let's get our own storyline going. Let's manage our own narrative
Yeah,
here,
fair
and
point.
and that what Zach Merritt does, I don't care. Good luck to the guy. If he wins the flag, good luck to him. He can sit and look at that premiership flag in his basement on his own for the next 50 years. But
Why
we
will he be
could,
on his own?
because he's an individualistic person, I think Caroline Wilson described him. I even said it with the lisp. Um, but here's the thing: we've got picks 4 and 5. I think they're now 5 and 6 after the Oscar Allen compensation.
Yeah.
So let's just think 5, 6. We get 7 for Draper. Hawthorn has pick 8. They trade that to us for Merritt. So we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I would be looking for a second first round pick as a part of the Merritt trade. We could get that by getting Carlton's pick 10, and Hawthorn sends a player or a couple of draft picks, and we send a draft pick to Carlton. So we could have potentially 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. And you know what? It's not a great draft, but if you can't turn 5 top 10 picks into 2 or 3 outstanding prospects, then we're never going to get that chance, right? And
Ah,
that's
well,
the opportunity.
therein lies the issue. And so we hope that that has changed, right? Because we've kind of had that recent times. But yes, I get your point.
You're right.
And that sounds like a veritable feast of talent.
And the other thing is, like with those picks, it's easy for us to consider trading up. Maybe we land pick 2. I think West Coast have the first 2 picks, but if we could get pick 1 or 2 from them, I'd be after Willem Dersma in a heartbeat. And,
Yes,
he's a
agree.
sensational player. We've got
Yes.
his brother. Maybe we even go to North and get Zane from North, who's not doing so well there, but, bring the 3 brothers together. What a story for our
Apparently
football club.
he's open to it.
Yeah. And so here we start to redefine the character of our football club with news like that. And, you bring in 2 or 3 other real star players. We've got a great bunch of NGA Academy kids coming through. And then next year, and we're not going to be finishing anywhere higher than bottom 4 next year. We have another crack at the draft, but we have $4 million in our salary cap to go really, really hard at 3 or 4 fantastic experienced players who by then will see the positive direction we're going in as a football club and may be open to joining the project that we're creating. And that's the future. I'm afraid Merritt is now a part of the past.
Okay, geez. All right. Well, let's go shopping and let us
Yeah, it's
play.
it's
But,
exciting times. I've
but
not been so excited about the future of this football club for a long time. I don't know about you. What do you think?
I'm not as excited as you. I
Oh,
want to see some things. I want to see some things play out first. All right, buddy. We've lost the
so
satellite.
one
We've
last thing.
lost it.
Have we? Has it gone altogether?
No, we
We
got
got
10
1 minute.
seconds.
I
10
just want to
seconds.
say